we have the 3.7 story explained from Nova. I'm excited to see this because I already know Nova is one of those people that love going into the deep in the detail and the nitty gritty when it comes to the Honkai Star Rail lore. So it's good to check out a video of everything being explained. Let's go ahead and get started with today's video. If you enjoyed today's reaction, please hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and share with a friend. Let's get started.
That drives the relentlessness that has kept Iron Tomb in check for millions of cycles. And it is what keeps me on the path of trying my hardest to understand this labyrinth of lore that HoYoverse has constructed for us. Because this story has been 10 months of complicated paths, intertwining with character motivations and hidden agendas, all coming to a head in this one patch. Oh yeah, 3.7 was a yap fest, but it also had a healthy dose of action and aura farming, all culminating into one of the most disappointing, anticlimactic, and unsatisfying endings that I have ever experienced.
All right, let's talk about it, bro.
Until I noticed something that I'll tell you all at the very end. Because this story has been the subject of countless theories, and I've had more than my fair share proven right. But before we go into theorizing, as always, we gotta break down what we just experienced. So without further ado, this is the final battle of Emporius explained. Okay. So as you all know so well, the way I'll be retelling this story is not in the way that Hoyo tells it.
Okay.
Because Hoyo likes to jump around and swap perspectives, which makes an already complicated story that much more confusing. So I'll be rearranging the events into a chronological order that makes more sense.
Okay.
All right. So let's set the stage. The 33,550,338th cycle is about to begin, with the Chrysosairs becoming the new Titans. Once again, our Trailblazer finds themselves in ID's Elysiae faced with Dan Hung, the new Giorios, March 7th, the new Orynyx, and Cyrene, who has now reached the final stage of evolution as Demiurge. But here is where we reach a strange little...
Okay, so this is where the Demiurge comes in. So this is very interesting. As somebody that studies Gnosticism, I'll give you a quick breakdown. So in Gnosticism, the Demiurge is basically the god of illusions, and it's the god that is creating everything that we surround ourselves with. So in the Christianity god, Yahweh, the god that is in charge of everything. In Gnosticism, the Demiurge is Yahweh, and it is a false god because there is an unknowable god, a god above gods, you could say, that's very far away somewhere else. And the Demiurge is the one that's controlling everything, and it sees itself as God, even though it's not the complete version, all loving, all knowing version of God, which the idea of God is. So it's interesting they have the Demiurge in Honkai Star Rail. Let's see how it correlates with real life.
Issue, because it's going to be a while before our backup arrives. So we have to wait for probably around 1,000 years or so for the Express crew to chronocognitive anchor their way down to Emporius. Remember the whole time dilation, few minutes is 1,000 years thing? Yeah, that's the reason why the Trailblazer and Dan Hung had to sleep for 1,000 years, and March just kind of used time to find when the Express crew arrived and showed up there directly. So after a few words of encouragement and being reminded that poor Finon got replaced by us being Kefali and he won't be a part of the cycle at all, we enter the cycles one last time, and Cyrene shows us her true identity as we pass the time. Meanwhile, the Shanjo is having a political dispute that I'll have to cover in another video, and Herta explains the attack plan to, well, Sunday and Black Swan. That being, the Express crew plus Black Swan has to locate their now Titan companions and find a way to attack Iron Tomb from within Emporius, while our two geniuses ambush the Demiurge Matrix to uncover any secrets left behind by Xandar. While of course the Cosmic Alliance of the Shanjo, IPC, and Screwlum's forces do what they can from the outside. And with that, Herta's fourth mirror teleports the crew in, and Himiko touches base with our allies one last time where... Okay, I want to take the moment to explain how corrupt the IPC is. Okay. I need for you to understand this. The entire universe is on the brink of collapse, and they are worried about a Lord Ravager that makes Antimatter Legion grunts. That's what Archforger does. But they also said that Iron Tomb can infect organic life now. Whoa! But it's only non-lethal, and they have a vaccine for that they can sell everyone to help them heal from nerve damage. Sheesh. But not only is that horrible, as it is, But the universe is about to die. What good is a vaccine when everyone is vaporized? I hate this faction. I hate this faction so much. They are just the worst. Anyway,
they're way
back to
too
the original
greedy.
script. But close behind, we have the family, because poor Robin had to pull major strings just to get us done.
You know, maybe that's the point. Like, they're so greedy, they can't get their own heads out of their own ass. And there's people that are like that. There are some people that will legitimately watch the world burn within some type of bunker. And for some reason, they think after the world's done burning and they come out of the bunker, they'll still be in charge of this new world. Like, bro, everybody's dead. And everybody that isn't dead, that doesn't mean they're automatically going to listen to you. Because there's, like, the society has been collapsed, bro. Like, come on, man.
And tuners to help out. And with that unsettling lack of support, the crew enters Emporius, where they are quite fittingly greeted by our Time Titan, who has now mastered her abilities and uses them to prank her two superiors by masquerading as Evernight, which fails because, well, is him and Himiko knows her too well, but it got poor Black Swan because she's still stun-locked by trauma. That aside, March tells everyone that the Trailblazer has carefully foretold of this date being the one that would bring about the new prophecy and bring about the new tomorrow for the world. A complicated way of saying that we will awaken and fight Iron Tomb. And here is where the story branches into two different paths, both reaching the same conclusion. Because the Express crew from here just retreats to Herta space station, so let's shift our focus to Herta and Skrulin's mission, along with Cyrene telling us the story of her existence. Because this is where things get really spicy. So, to put things as simple as possible, I'm not going to jump around, I'll just be using both perspectives to more accurately explain what Cyrene is.
Please.
Because it turns out that I was right. She is a Stellaron and the 13th Titan and a child of Nosriva all at once.
Okay.
But how did she come to be? Well, this goes back all the way back to when Xandar found the scepter. You see, the scepter, even after being abandoned by Nous, still ran its extrapolations with the data flowing into the Demiurge matrix. But Xandar's goal was to create a headless giant that would seek out Nous, and he also wanted to develop the scepter into a strong body, so he had to nurture it without it gaining a consciousness, and still having a head without it having a brain
Let me read that.
inside gaining a consciousness.
He didn't want to create something else he couldn't control. Makes sense.
And still having a head without it having a brain inside of it. And Xandar, being the control freak that he is, can't have the scepter having its own brain, so he blew it up with a Stellaron.
Well,
But
shit.
here is where he messed up, because the Stellaron survived and so did the Demiurge, with the two becoming one and falling into a deep slumber, a hibernation it woke up from with the start of the eternal recurrence. And Cyrene, after erasing herself from time, would find her way here, storing the memories of each cycle in the Demiurge matrix and speaking aloud as she did so. Little did she know that she was speaking to a seed of memory, a Stellaron that reacted to her wish and tethered itself to the remembrance. And though at the time it was weak and couldn't speak, as time went on and more Cyrenes offered up their memories, the seed grew into a bud, mimicking the image of a fairy that it associated with Cyrene. An image that would later develop into Cyrene herself, because every Cyrene would have faith that the next one would bring about a new page, and with that new page bringing about a blank space. And sensing this desire, the Stellaron concluded that a new Cyrene was a blank space. So it took up the goal of becoming Cyrene so that they could be a blank space as well, thus fulfilling the wish.
Oh, that's
Remember,
crazy.
Stellarons are incredibly extreme when it comes to fulfilling wishes.
I see.
And the Stellaron got good at becoming Cyrene. So much so that she became an adult Cyrene, having the body that Philia 093 desired but never grew into. And thus the pain and hatred that Lygus sowed into the world was nurtured by lament. Lament for the fact that the world had no love, bringing about a demiurge that could feel emotions and empathy. And this was Xandar's mistake. He
crazy.
underestimated the power of remembrance. Because with the body being the id and Cyrene serving as the superego checking the hatred of the id, Demiurge became the ego that it was meant to be, thus possessing a consciousness of its own, which Philia 093 named after her pen name Cyrene and gave her the As I Have Written book, asking her to look after the deliverer.
That's
and
really
here
cool.
is where we reach the point of the story where
Bro, this is absolutely absolutely amazing. Like to hear this, like we have the id, the ego, super ego. Like, bro, this is so cool, man. Like, sheesh, bro. To know like Honkai Star Rail has been going deep in not just like bibliography or Gnosticism, but also just like neuroscience and just, you know, the will of humanity in general. It's just super, super cool, man. Like, there's so many people that don't know about the id, the ego, the super ego, and maybe they just learned it from playing the game. Same thing when it comes to like Gnosticism. A lot of people don't know about this stuff, bro. This is like this is like ancient knowledge, and for some people, it would be even considered forbidden knowledge for sure. Because like, I'll give you guys a fun fact, right? So when it came to the Gnostics and like traditional Christians, the traditional Christians saw the Gnostics in Gnosticism as heresy because, of course, you're saying like the God that exists is not the true God or it's a false God. So basically, the Gnostics, they were driven out, and not only that, a lot of them were killed. So they had to hide, they had to run, they had to hide Gnosticism from the world. And it's not only until like recently has Gnosticism really been coming about and more people are like hearing about it and learning about it. And now it's even in video games where it's like, bro, it's like crazy. It's not like the first time video games has been in, like, all of art is influenced by something, right? So to hear that Gnosticism is like now in a game in some form, it's not really surprising, but it's just really cool to see from somebody that's been studying it for a while.
We enter the picture, and this is how the demiurge entered the cycles and got memory wiped and reverted back to Mem. And the reason why Mem found us instantly is because she resonated with the Stellaron inside of us, because she also is kind of a Stellaron. So that is how the Cyrene ripples of past reverie we know came to be. Now, as Cyrene told us this, Herta was coming to this conclusion with Skrullum and Xandar, who decapitated himself, restricting all access to the exomyth in the process.
He said, "Can't nobody else have it?"
He can still talk, however, of course, because nothing can stop Lygus from yapping, and he tells them that the death of Nous is the fourth instant that was foretold by Nous that will happen regardless of anything. Which ended up being a lie. But this didn't stop Herta, who once again tasked herself with proving Droidhead wrong. Remember, this is the second time she's doing this. The first time was the solitary waves theory. So she enacts her backup plan.
What is the solitary waves theory?
Doing this, the first time was the solitary.
We have to prove Nous isn't omniscient, contrary to popular belief. Oh, well, I mean, if you proved he isn't omniscient, well, then shit. Well, what the fuck we listening to him for? He doesn't know anything. So she
enacts her backup plan, and they go to what I'm going to call the Iron Tomb Egg. And here is where the unrivaled Madame Herta steals the show of this patch. Because this is where she, for the first time since the fall of Rupert, summons other geniuses from across the universe to converse with them in a meeting. And out of 8, 4 answer. Ron May, Akka, Dr. Primitive, and Polka.
Dr. Primitive. Answer. We know there are at least 10 living geniuses in the cosmos. Sander doesn't count.
Ron May, Akka, Dr. Primitive, and Polka Kakamond. And leaving the interactions of these guys for another day because these guys are fascinating in their own right.
For sure.
Has one simple request. Let her cook, because she knew that her plan would definitely put her on Polka's radar if she wasn't already, because as we saw in the Exotail Scene 8 trailer, her plan is to take control of the scepter to stop the destruction equation, and if we the Trailblazer fail to defeat Iron Tomb from within, she will become Herta Tomb III and fuse herself with the scepter with self-coronation. The same self-coronation that Rupert did, which is the worst ending that Capcom mentioned, becoming the very thing that Polka rid the universe of years ago. But here's the strange part that I think Herta has got wrong. She wants to change the anchor point of Nous's instant to change the future. But that's not...
Changing how Nous thinks won't change the fate of the universe.
How Nous works.
Well, shit, I'd love to learn what her actual plan was so I can, like...
I think Herta has got wrong.
I'll change the anchor points for the fourth instant and move the future of the cosmos in a direction.
She wants to change the anchor point of Nous's instant to change the future. But that's not how Nous works. Nous just calculates the future. Nous doesn't make the futures happen. Hence Akka remarking that she is confusing cause with effect. Nous is the effect, not the cause. The universe dying is why Nous's instance happened, not the other way around.
Nous doesn't prove themselves right. They calculate, then wait. Nous never actively does anything apart from looking at people.
But that aside, quite predictably, Polka says that she's on her way, and Herta just signed her own death warrant, but Xandar, of all people, seeing that Herta wants to strike at the erudition by disproving Nous, decides to protect her out of curiosity by ordering
just wants to one-up Nous, not kill them.
Bring all of the other Xandars to give everything they got to make sure that Herta gets her plan off. And with that, the meeting ends. And Ron May hangs up having absolutely no doubt in the world that Herta will survive. And here marks the beginning of our battle with Iron Tomb, because in the meantime, the main three track down all other Titans and awoke Castellana in a sequence of events that took way too long, and we fight Iron Tomb. And we lose. But just as Herta is about to Rupert herself in self-coronation, Nous cast their gaze on us. So instead of proceeding, Herta stops the process and acts as our translator for Nous. And here is why we needed to be in Emporius, because otherwise Herta would have proceeded with self-coronation and the bad ending happens. But we're here now, so Herta acts as our translator and stops the self-coronation. And remember when I said that I wasn't sure if Aeons speak human languages? Well, Aha might, but Nous definitely doesn't. So Herta, since she was inside of Nous's head at the time, acted as our translator, and Nous calls us Fateless One and says a bunch of other things.
We can reach the ending of our story in our own way because we are fateless. Nous doesn't know what our life will amount to. Yeah, so that's really cool, right? If you're fateless, and this is interesting because I played a game. It's called Kingdoms of Amalur. And this game is very similar. Like there's the strings of fate, or the story of fate, the time, all this stuff. It doesn't really matter if you are fateless. That means you have the ability to create your own destiny through your own means, which makes you one of the most powerful beings in existence, because everybody else is destined for something. Everybody else is fated for some type of encounter, for some type of effect, because some type of cause is already built within their DNA. But if you are fateless, everything is up to you, which is like a very big burden to have, or a very big responsibility, right? Only you are in charge of what is possibly going to happen, not to just you, but to anything you come across. So if there's something like changing the universe and you're fateless, you could change the universe to be whatever, and there's no equation for it, which would be like the biggest freaking ace trump card you could use, bro. It's like having Time Wizard from Yu-Gi-Oh! And you got Baby Dragon, bro, and you just trying to get that grand dragon, but you don't know because that time gonna be ticking around, baby. Shout out to everybody that understood the Yu-Gi-Oh! Reference. Let's go.
Things that I'll have to address in other videos, because that's a whole rabbit hole by itself. Then tweaks out, screams Alkavili, and then leaves. And Herta returns to tell us that all isn't lost and that Nous is still extrapolating, which is good, because like I said previously, Nous doesn't know the future, and they are constantly calculating it. So once Nous finds an answer for a definitive
we
future,
know they found the answer, and the answer is how the universe went.
Stop calculating and the universe is cooked. So if Nous is still thinking, there are still possibilities that remain and the universe has a chance at survival. Yeah. So we wake up in the path space, because this is where we go when the Aeons look at us, and Cyrene tells us that she knows a way to contain Iron Tomb and save everyone, because she can create a miniature version of the Eden of Blessed Insight, collecting all of the memories of everyone and everything in the moment before its destruction, so that they can all be resurrected afterwards. But of course, we weren't going to let her do this alone, so we follow her to aid in the memory collection process, where we encounter a suppressed memory of Kafka telling us everything that we are currently doing. So Elio even knew that this would happen. And Himiko shows up for some reason, and so these two are connected in some way. I know a lot of you have your suspicions about that. But after this, Cyrene has one last meeting with Philia 093, and we talk to Another us asking us why we trailblaze, who I have a hunch is Akavili, but I have no real clue, so back on topic. No, wait, hold on, Nova. Before we move on from this is why Pom Pom showed up to us. Because they said themselves that Akavili had to make the same choice. So now, not only is Pom Pom terrifyingly old and witnessed the ascension of Akavili, but now we know why Akavili trailblazes, to see the end. And we give a really stupid sounding answer in response too. We trailblaze because we are already here, so we might as well keep going.
Might as well,
I don't
bro.
know, that just doesn't seem very profound at all. But this is all insinuating that we are—
I mean, it can be very profound, bro. Like, if you're already on your journey, why question it? If you're already on your route and your destination, especially if you're something that's called fateless, bro, you might as well just continue, bro. What else you gonna do? Take your ass back home? It don't make no sense.
Or Akavili in some way, because also considering that Nous themselves said that we have met countless times. So I am relatively sure that we're Akavili. Oh, alright, now we can move on. Because with everything recreated and Cyrene coming into her full power as the Demiurge, it is time for round 2 with Iron Tomb, where the ridiculous headless giant is defeated by— well, its head, bringing everyone back to life and making this cute little Hello World coding reference. Also, revealing that Nous at no point stopped calculating, meaning that Xandar was never right. Nous isn't omniscient, and still isn't, nor is Iron Tomb the 4th instant. Because as the universe struggles to exist, Nous
Fourth instant is a chain of events beginning with the experiment of Cyrene creating everything with memories, not the death of Nous or Iron Tomb's full birth.
to keep recalculating things. So Nous defeated Xandar by doing absolutely nothing, leaving
GG's.
Lygus so depressed that he ends himself again.
Damn.
But the funny part here is that he's not even gone. Because get this, as the memories were being brought back to life, Herta met with Cyrene and we get this massive info dump. Because not only did Herta explain how Nous thinks, but she also figured out how Fuli works. Turns out, Fuli hasn't ascended yet. But the moment in which they do ascend is at the end of time, and so their ascension is reflected through time, making it so that they exist at all points of history at once without even being there. And
That's
every
interesting.
pure child of Anasrava has the potential to become Fuli, which is the subject of my
That's
next
crazy.
video. I got a huge theory about that one. But point is, Cyrene has 2 options. One where she leaves Emporius entirely and has a shot at becoming a real Memo Sprite, with the downside of Iron Tomb probably returning. And the second being her staying in Emporius and binding herself to the past forever while preserving all memories of Emporius, but being eternally stuck within it. And without a shred of hesitation and with nothing but love in her heart, our flower of memory copies Cyrene one last time and offers herself up to remain in the past, stopping Iron Tomb and preserving the memories of the world she loves, even Lygus. Unfortunately, yes, everyone that was ever in the cycles is written in her book, and that means if our Chrysosairs aren't gone, neither is Lygus. Oh, and did I mention that this is also an agonizing process for Cyrene? Because that means her at the beginning of the As I Have Written book returning to her fairy form and forgetting everything, remembering everything, and then forgetting everything again. Yay, more pain and suffering for the people who have only known pain and suffering.
Hey man, life is suffering, the Buddha.
And that is where the story ends. In the epilogue, Herta tells us that she is currently working on a way to bring the Emporius people back to life, but that's it. Emporius is over. Or so I thought. Because in a fit of disbelief at how horrible and unsatisfying this ending was, I checked the trailblazing experience to see this.
To be continued?
This ain't over. That is a fact to be continued that they just snuck over here after rolling the credits on us. They pentaconied us again. So Emporius
They got
isn't
more to
over.
say.
Every other story says completed, but this one has question marks. And here I was about to rip this ending to shreds because I hate this as an ending, but if there is still more to come, then maybe, just maybe, we'll get a more satisfying ending to this saga of a story. Because everything from the start up until this point was peak. But oh boy, if this is the end, then we're gonna have some problems. I did not cover this story for 10 months just for it to end and everyone is still trapped in a time loop. I do not even want to entertain that thought. But at the very least, Iron Tomb is gone and Nanook is short a Lord Ravager. Because this is the final battle of Emporius. Explain. There is still so much we have to talk about. We learned so
for sure, especially when it comes to Fu Li, bro. For sure. There's definitely a lot.
Much about the Aeons and how they work that I can think of so many things to say in regards to Fu Li, but you guys are gonna have to wait until next video or join my Discord where I will probably be talking about it there because I can't wait and I love to bounce my ideas off of you guys to make sure that I'm not going too far off the deep end. Because now that the recap is out of the way and we are all on the same page, we can get into some absolutely insane topics. I was on vacation for a week and it is good
welcome back, bro.
To be back. What do you guys think? Be sure to let me know and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace, y'all.
Yeah. Okay. So, at least by going by the game saying to be continued, okay, they definitely, if this is legitimately gonna continue within Honkai Star Rail or a different game, I'm not too sure. They got some stuff to be cooking with. And that's the thing, man, like with this game, like with this whole series, at the end of the day, bro, there's just so much they could still do. Like, even if they're trapped within a time loop or they're not, or they're in a parallel dimension or in a pocket dimension, or at the end of the day, bro, they got the thing called the imaginary tree. And as long as they have that, bro, this can go on legitimately until forever, bro. Like, bro, Nova could literally have a kid, and then Nova's kid has a kid, and then Nova has grandkids, and this story could continue if they so choosingly would want to do something like that, because they have the imaginary tree. And all of this stuff within Honkai Star Rail, at the end of the day, it's in its own universe. And within that own universe, it can be stuck within its own version of time, and it can be stuck in a dimension of a dimension where it's always going to be a time loop. And it could be a time loop where it's positive. It could be a time loop where it's neutral. They could try and break the time loop, but at the same time, you could break the time loop and say it wasn't really broken because they have the imaginary tree. So, bro, if you're trying to look for some satisfying ending where it all just pays off, even if you get that, bro, they could drop an update a week later or a month later that just changes it again, bro. So don't put too many of your own personal eggs within the basket, bro, because you might just be setting yourself up to be very disappointed. Such is life. Anyways, I thought it was a pretty cool story, and the more that I learn about the characters and what's going on, whether it comes to time, memory erasure, time disruption, different dimensions, demiurges, demigods, freaking aeons, time ravagers. Oh man, this is all just grand Aos big ass thinking, right? At the end of the day, it's some pretty good entertainment. So it's really cool. I've enjoyed it, and I'm glad I got to break down the parallels between the real life and the fake, not the fake, but the game version of these things. So like, if they have the demiurge, so like if they're stuck in a time illusion, like, I mean, shit, bro, that's the point of the demiurge, is to keep everything within an illusion anyway. So I mean, bro, unless you go meditate underneath a tree and become enlightened, bro, you're always gonna be stuck in that cycle of wanting, and that cycle of unknowing, and that cycle of maybe finding out who you are just to forget it again, because maybe you need to forget it in the context of the game. Cyrene has to remember who they are just to forget, just to remember again. You know what I'm saying? So, bro, to be honest, it's gonna be a trippy ass ride. Okay, I thought Honkai Star Rail was pretty straightforward after like watching the first couple chapters, but when we got to this point, oh, this is just real life, bro. This is just some crazy shit. So yeah, if you guys are interested in more conversations talking about the complexities of reality, bro, I'd say check out Third Eye Tyrone on YouTube. He definitely talks about a lot of stuff like this. Also check out, if you're more into esoterics and Gnosticism and whatnot, check out Doth Darling. She has a lot when it comes to the occult, especially like Thelema, magical systems and whatnot. Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff on the internet, guys, like for sure. And a lot of this stuff is like, it's not one to real life, but this shit is like, it's pretty close. It's like, you know how we have mirrors, like a mirror is a direct reflection. Well, imagine you go into the mirror and then there's two mirrors, and then one is real life and then the other is like still a different version of whatever it is that they're talking about, whether they're talking about the demiurge in Honkai Star Rail, or they're talking about illusions, or they're talking about like Nanook and all this other stuff, bro. Like there's hella stuff like that in real life. And if you go into the mirror and you choose the left or the right mirror, you'll be finding stuff similar to Honkai Star Rail. So for sure, it's pretty close to real life shit, man. So for sure, if you guys are interested, I'd say check it out, man. The world is a very interesting place that we live in. And yeah, I also personally just believe it's an illusion anyway. So like, at the end of the day, you're going to be trading one illusion for another one. So just enjoy the one that you decide to stick around in. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed the reaction, man, y'all know what to do. Hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and share it with a friend. If you guys have something you want to share, man, leave it in the comments or join the Discord link down below. Drop your comments and whatnot. Definitely, I might jump into the Discord, the Nova Discord, just to see what everybody's chatting about. See if there's any parallels to real life and whatnot. Some interesting conversations, interesting people. I always find that being the most exciting parts of living in existence. But yeah, if you guys did enjoy it, please hit the like button. I appreciate it greatly. And until next time, I'll see you guys when I see you guys. Let me know what you think about the ending down below. Peace.